Hi everyone, it's Walinase here. Today we have a conversation with Wangiwe Joanna Kambuzi. Wangiwe is the founder of Emerge Livelihoods. She is a social entrepreneur that is driving socio-economic growth through tech-driven solutions. On today's topic, we are going to be talking about how to network. Hi Wangiwe, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for joining me for this quick chat, and I'm really looking forward to learning from you. How was the launch of your brand on Friday?
Oh, it went well. It was quite a great success, and we had a really amazing community. And
Mhm.
yeah, we're definitely happy with what we've actually developed, and also what we're looking forward to serving the community, not just in Malawi and beyond. So definitely excited about it.
Oh, nice, exciting. Yeah, I can't wait to see more things from you on LinkedIn. And talking about LinkedIn, one of the things that I see from your LinkedIn is that you're a very well connected person. And that's why I just wanted to have this chat with you to learn from you in terms of how we can follow in your footsteps and also learn how to network. So first thing is first, how do you introduce yourself to strangers?
I think first of all, one of the things that I always say about me is at times I'm a really terrible networker, especially when it comes to introducing myself to people that I don't really know.
Mm-hmm.
But I've actually learned one thing that's really important, that half of the time I get to meet strangers and I want to actually make an introduction. It works better if it's stricken through a conversation that's not probably related to you always feeling like you're pitching about what you do.
Mm-hmm.
Because people always remember a conversation, they remember something that really happened. I know a good example that happened was when I went to an event just last month.
Mm-hmm.
I bumped into someone I was really looking forward to meeting, but I was not able to meet her in the right space.
Mm-hmm.
Then at one morning, we were going to a session, and we just bumped on the same path. And unfortunately, she had poured coffee on herself. So I literally helped her with the coffee situation.
Okay.
And then I was like, "What's your name?" And she's like, "Okay, this is me." And I was like, "But I've been looking forward to meeting you. I know we're connected through email, but we had not met." And she's like, "Oh, yeah, really?" But yeah, like what really worked well there was just the fact that I helped with a coffee situation. And
Wow.
for me, I'm still going to remember her face because of that. And I'm very sure she's also going to remember me again because of that. And we did then connect professionally. So,
Okay.
essence, it's not always that you are going to start pitching and things work from there. There are situations where you meet strangers like that and you only have 1 minute that you need to put to good use. So, in that type of situation, it's also very important to make sure you've really shared about your work, and you probably have backup on the contact as well so that you're able to exchange contacts and get to link up probably later. But it depends on the situation, definitely.
Okay, so now I'm getting from that I need to be watching out for people who are pouring coffee on themselves because that's the best way to introduce myself. So thank you for the pro tip. You mentioned about going to conversations that are not necessarily related to what you do. So I wanted to ask, what are your go-to conversations? Like, what do you usually talk about?
Definitely not politics.
Yes.
But I think it's mostly dependent on the platform as well where we've actually met. At times you're at a conference, it's always ideal to actually start conversations from how are you? How are you finding the conference? And probably what are you learning? What's interesting for you? Is it probably giving you the expectations that you had? And obviously,
Mm.
most times you get a reciprocation that someone actually gets to ask you the similar questions. And it leads to another conversation, probably. Okay, so where are you from? And that at that point, you can actually start talking about where you're from. And yeah, this is what I do. And I'm happy to be here because I probably want to build meaningful connections and learn about what other people are doing. And yeah, it goes in that manner. Um, but that's only if it's really a stranger. At times, you're actually able to get connections through introductions, and maybe you
Mm.
had prior exchange of communication beforehand, like through email. One effective way that I've seen that if you really want to um, network with people beyond probably an event, it's always ideal to check who's coming at an event. It's also
Yes.
not all the time you might get a guest list of who is going to be there. But if you do get a chance to have it, then probably reach out to people beforehand so that they actually look forward to engaging with you when they meet you face to face. And they can actually continue the conversation with you after because they saw that you definitely had an effort beforehand reaching out
Mm.
and you got to meet them, and then after that you're also able to continue the conversation. um yeah, otherwise it's always again ideal to actually be well prepared,
Mm-hmm.
and understand fully what your intentions towards networking are. Who exactly do you want to network with? If you're like me, you're probably looking to meet investment partners. You're
Mm.
looking forward to meeting fellow visionaries that probably have potential for you to partner with in the line of work that we do. And sometimes it's as simple as sharing best practice.
Mm-hmm.
But most importantly, I like making new friends.
Mm.
I feel like half of the time, again, I was sharing even yesterday to a couple of friends that people don't understand the fact that in the world of looking for investment, looking for funding, or if you're looking to build new networks, what's important is to fundraise, not to
Oh,
fundraise.
okay. Mm.
So,
Amen.
how
Okay.
many friends are you interested in having? And that's why maybe you look at my LinkedIn and you're like, oh yeah, probably she's well connected. But half of the people that I get to connect with, maybe I bumped into because of a connection that came in through a friend that I made through a certain conference, and now we're like proper friends. It's not even like we just discuss work and all of that. So
Mm.
I think having that sort of strong relationship with people on a personal front is always ideal, before you always focus on business and business.
Okay. No, I love that. Like I've written it down. Friend raise, not fundraise. I've never heard that before. So like, yeah, no, that sounds really cool. And then I was going to ask a question. So you talked about building friends, but
Yes.
let's say if somebody's like an introvert or maybe they are not as outgoing, they might not necessarily be introverted, but how do you like build and maintain those relationships and friendships, especially if it's somebody that's outside of your usual circle?
Yeah, so as I was explaining even earlier, that
Mm-hmm.
even personally, I'm like I always describe myself as an ambivert. So there are
Mm,
days I'm a proper introvert, and I'm like I feel like I'm just not willing to meet people or engage people in this state. Maybe I need some me time. But there are other days I am definitely going to be an extrovert, and I'll be out there and mingling with everyone.
mm-hmm.
So I think it's always ideal to first of all have that understanding, be self-aware of the kind of person that you are,
Mm-hmm.
and the kind of platforms that when you get into will allow you to actually fit in. And at the same time, spend a lot of time learning to master the art of engaging people, even if
Mm-hmm.
it's definitely not in your place. And if it's fully not in your place, sometimes it's also very okay. If probably you're an entrepreneur, I always encourage maybe have someone then on your team who's very good at that.
Mm.
And I think that's one of the things I'm also happy that I do have a couple of people on my team that are definitely good at networking
Mm-hmm.
in platforms that probably I want to do very well at.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I've definitely also spent a lot of time, I think, hoping maybe from one event to another, it gives you a sense of confidence in a way that, oh yeah, if I manage to do it here and there was this outcome, probably I can do the next one. Then you're able to do the next one. And over the course of the time, you're able to improve how you talk to people, how you relate with them, and how you probably talk about your work. And then you also understand that communities are very different.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so you also have to be well prepared on if I'm going to meet this kind of community, this is how probably I need to introduce myself. I need to make sure I am being very accommodative, able to listen more, and it's not just about you. So it's also
Mm.
about what another person would want to talk to you about. Because sometimes it's I think it's sometimes people feel like it's a one-way thing, but half the time if you want to network, you should understand it's a two-way thing. Who else wants to meet you
Mm.
and talk to you? And not just about you looking forward to talk to people. So how do you create then a profile that's very interesting, like on LinkedIn or even just now through your network
Mm-hmm.
itself, your physical network, where
Mm-hmm.
people are able to then introduce you to different people and it opens a lot of opportunities for you?
Okay, so we had a question that came in that somebody asked on LinkedIn. They asked,
Mm.
they said, let me find the question, but they said that they're building their personal brand and they wanted your advice in terms of how they can build the brand through networking. So from what you're saying, from what you're saying, what I'm getting is that you're saying, what I'm getting English, what I'm getting is that you are saying the best way to do that is you start from where you are with the people that you know, and then you start to build a profile that would make people want to introduce you to other people and also to meet new people. Am I summarizing your points correctly in relation to that question?
Yes, definitely.
Okay. And in terms of the friends that you have in your circle, let's say if your friendship group, if so right now I'm in Joburg, so there's a whole like groove culture. So it's like what if what if the circle that you have, they're like Chisanyama, DJ and groove friends, how do you then transition your friendship to become one where you talk about business and you talk about your brand? Since you mentioned that you start from where you are.
Yeah, so I think it's never easy, and maybe the point is not to completely transition friends
Mm,
from a certain way to a certain way.
mm-hmm,
But probably how do you balance having that and then also having um people that surround you that are that circle, that's the business circle. And
mm,
I mean, I've got friends that are probably outside my business circle and it works. We're just friends from that front. It's not work. And we have our own conversations in that sphere. But then I started building another circle of friends, especially I think that was in 2019. So I had joined the Social Impact Incubator, which
mm-hmm,
is run by Single Family Foundation. And I got to meet my friend Hastings, who's my really good friend. He runs arcades. And then I also connected with Mercy, who we had met a year earlier, and she runs Wangiwe. So literally, it was like, okay, we met in a different program and we meet again. Yeah, so we need to probably learn more about what we all do. And at that point, we were all running our enterprises in a mode where they were just early stage, nothing huge. But because we were able to stay connected from there, we've really built a strong relationship and strong friendship that we are able to actually still connect to date. We would sit down and plan travel together. Okay, let's go to this conference this year and um, maybe that conference next year, so that we're able to grow our network. We're also able to grow our investment portfolios and all of that. So like we've been friends since then until now. And it's like that business community that I sit in and I'm like, I know if I bump into an opportunity, I'm bound to share Hastings if it's in agriculture. And he's going to do the same. And we've even run projects together where we actually apply for something together. And that's working. We'll do the same with Mercy. And in a way, then we get to travel to certain events together and we're all out there. And that works well because we've fully now understood, all of us, that we're running social enterprises that have the same needs. And if we're not together and that community is not as strong, then we'll probably miss out on certain things where I'm the one who talked to a certain person that everyone wanted to meet, but they couldn't. So I'm the best person to actually introduce the rest to that person. So that's where the importance of you being surrounded by some sort of circle that aligns well with your brand really is important. But you do not leave out people completely, and you maybe don't change other people completely. Sometimes people get inspired on their own just by seeing that we have a friend who probably started from here and now they're here and here we are as well. And probably just being in that circle, they would also want to do something different. There's also that always opportunity that you don't always have to drag people around trying to get them to become something they probably might not affiliate with.
No, makes sense. And I know we have the networking event on the 16th, but aside from that, how do you find events to go to, like outside of Malawi and also in Malawi? I'm asking because you mentioned like with Hastings and Mercy, you met them at the Social Impact Incubator, and then you go to conferences together, events, etc. So for somebody who's listening to this and they're really keen on attending events that you go to, how do they find out where you're going and how they can get there too?
Yeah, so I think it's one of the platforms that has really helped us know where events are is through most of the international partners we have been working with, which obviously I mentioned Single Family Foundation. So they had initially sponsored my first trip to the US. That was in 2022, and I was able to actually know that, oh, so when it's UNGA season, it's not just the UNGA event that happens. There's a lot of side events that are happening um across New York that you can literally plan to attend even if you didn't get any sponsorship from anyone. So that was my first point of, oh, okay, so there's events that probably once in a while or maybe annually I can always plan to come through and I'll be able to meet this kind of people, and I'll be introduced maybe to new conversations that, oh, this is where decisions are made on certain things. So then the next time we were introduced to the School Forum, which happens in the UK, and that was also my first time going to Oxford in the UK. But I think it was just an important type of exposure for me because it got me out of a little bulb that I was in that I had no idea that there's events that you can probably just budget in your company, in your organization, and say that next year I'm paying for my attendance in this event and this is what I'm going to benefit. And when I come, probably this is what I will need to do to connect with people, and this is the result I would want to come out of it.
Mm.
So yeah, it started from there, and yeah, over the course of the period, understanding that you go to this platform, then people introduce you like, okay, there's also this event that happens, and you're like, oh, interesting. Let me look it up. And by the end of the day, then you're able to know more about where the events are. And there's some that you just need to also follow a lot of social media posts that different organizations also make. I know when I went like to Amsterdam, I went for a different event with one of our partners, but I had seen that there was an existing forum that was ongoing and there were also side events. Then I registered on LinkedIn on one of the events, and I actually was able to attend for free. So also knowing what people are sharing in certain platforms like LinkedIn helps you to know, as long as you're able to connect with people from organizations that have something that's interesting to you, then it's important to follow those kinds of networks.
No, makes sense. And then the last question I have is regarding the support you provide to entrepreneurs through Emerge for Biz. If somebody's looking to meet you or gain support in terms of building their brand, what are the services that you provide, and how can they reach out to yourself or Emerge to, I guess, get that support and also have access to those solutions?
Mm. Yeah, so normally we do a call for applications every year,
Mm-hmm.
and we do receive applications both physical and online. Because we do work with both communities in the rural and urban spaces. So sometimes it's very difficult to only use digital platforms, and we still send out information that the people in the rural communities can be able to access through our district youth networks or local hubs that we actually collaborate with. Then once we do receive the applications, they go through really rigorous selection process. It also has a due diligence if it aligns with the eligibility criteria that we've actually highlighted. And then we do the first selection from there. The entrepreneurs are invited to pitch. So the pitching happens in two ways. At times it's through video, or at times it's actually just an online meeting like this, or a physical meet if people are able to actually come directly to our office space. So from there, we're also able to have a set of judges, and it's a committee, obviously, that we set that's external. It's not like an internal team. So it's industry experts that we get to do the whole evaluation. And then after that, we have the scores that then have the final list of entrepreneurs that we actually enroll into the program.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just one side of it. The other side is where at times we partner with different organizations. So for instance, this year we had partnered with GIZ. So they had run their own call for applications, done the selection already. And then we were the ones that provided the support to the group that was already selected. Um, for direct support as one-on-one, basically it's just a matter of someone reaching out. Could be to me. I can always refer to the business development team. Then the conversation can start from there around what do you need, what tailor-made support can we offer, and if it's something that can work virtually or it needs physical meetings, how does that work? And then it's like it's fully tailor-made to suit clients' needs. So we're always open online, definitely, either through our social media platforms or through the email. So our contact currently is hello@emergelivelihoods.org. So anyone can always email and send a query, and we are able to get back to that person.
Okay, thank you so much. It was so great chatting with you. Like I've learned so much. Like I said, my new favorite line is friend raise before you fundraise. And there was very like practical tips. And I look forward to seeing more things that Emerge is doing in future. And I really appreciate you for your time. Thank you and wishing you all the best.
Thanks, Walina, and all the best as well. Thanks for having me.